Hello everybody. I want to do a video today on the current energies that we're experiencing, and more importantly, the very loud messages that I've been receiving from the galactic beings. They are continuing to push me to start telling you guys more and more about what they want you to remember, what they want you to hear, what they want you to begin to open yourself up to even more. So this is so much bigger than a remembrance. This is about realigning and reconnecting with them in a way that you used to when you were not in a physical form. So one of the things that is occurring on the earth plane is that she is continuing to get catapulted into these really high frequencies, which is allowing us to move into higher frequencies. And what's occurring is that simultaneously, the earth plane and the human form are moving into this fourth and fifth dimensional field physically. And they're showing me, the reason I'm looking away right now is because I'm pulling in the information from them. So it's not that I don't want to look at you. It's just that the information comes in much clearer when I'm looking out. I don't know why. But what they're showing me is literally this. It's almost as if there's these two other veils that are starting to appear in our field of vision and in our field of experience. So visualize in your room these beings always around you, okay? But because of the really intense third dimensional veil or field, it was challenging to get past that field to access the fourth dimensional field, to then access the fifth dimensional field, to then access them. They are within a fifth dimensional field right now. So they've merged themselves and they've been experiencing us and connecting with us within a fifth dimensional field, regardless of their dimension. So what that means is that they're not too far away from us right now in terms of dimensional fields, okay? And when we start to increase our frequency and the earth starts to increase their frequency, these dimensional fields start to merge. It's like all of a sudden, all three start to merge. And it's hard to tell, like, which field am I in right now? Which dimensional field am I accessing, right? This sort of amoeba type flow. It's not a dense, stagnant, firm field that you're hitting up against, right? It's now this beautiful sort of swirling motion or merging of these three-dimensional fields. They have always, well, I'm not going to say always, for the last 100 years, they have been in this fifth dimensional field, accessing us and reconnecting with us in a very palpable way. For us as humans in third dimension, in 3D form, it's not been palpable. It is now. We have now crossed this threshold where accessing, communicating, seeing, being, and most importantly, co-creating and working with these beings is in this now moment. These beings are not better than, higher than, more unique, more spectacular. There is no hierarchy with these beings. These beings are your family, your friends, your brothers, your sisters in terms of third dimensional words, okay? We use the terms galactic beings, star beings, light beings, Pleiadians, Arcturians, Lyrans, Sirians, Cassiopeias, Andromedas, Alpha Centauri, you name it, right? But outside of the matrix that we live in that holds names, they are consciousness, existing as consciousness in a specific dimensional field. Just like we are consciousness, experiencing ourselves in a third dimensional human form, we are not humans. We are higher dimensional consciousness, and many of you dropped into this form from the consciousness that all of these beings that are on the earth plane now, in this fifth dimensional field, working with us, you came from their systems. So they want me to be really clear on, they aren't to be tiptoed around. You know them. You know them. You some of you are them in your consciousness inside this form. It wasn't too long ago that you were standing with them in the higher realms. They want us to stop creating this hype around them, like as if it is something to prepare for or get ready for, or there's these paradigms around disclosure and what do they look like, and there's a lot of stories they're saying around them, and none of that matters. What matters is that you start to reconnect and get to work with them. We are designed as higher dimensional beings in physical form. As we wake up into multidimensional beings, we are designed to begin to literally walk side by side with these beings so that they can assist us while we are still in these lower dimensional realms, which we aren't escaping out of. For instance, in any now moment, if you are feeling sick or having an issue with a relationship, or are having doubts about a choice, or anything in between that, there is going to be a moment where you will no longer look externally and you will look internally, turn on your radar, call the beings in, and sit down and counsel and say, what is for my highest good again? Can you assist me in clearing this density? Can you show me where I am going again? Can you remind me? Can you assist in activating the ability for me to see into the multidimensional realms? They are your counterparts, your partners in crime, your co-creators. They are not, oh my God, who are they? What are they going to say? What do I need to do? It's not like that, right? It's not like that. Settle deep into this message for a moment. Just drop into your body and just breathe for one slow moment. And call the beings into your room right now. I mean, they're already there, but consciously. We have to start engaging every single moment of our now as much as we can remember in order to begin to work, co-create, receive, walk with these beings. These beings are not the angelic realm. They are not the ascended masters. They're not the dragons or the fairies or the gnomes or all of the other beautiful types of consciousnesses that are assisting humanity. These beings are higher dimensional consciousnesses that are existing in specific dimensional realms, usually in large collectives, that have been both on the earth plane in human form, off the earth plane on planets or star systems or galactic ships, crafts, starships, whatever you want to call them. Since the moment Earth created herself into a form to be able to move through an ascension journey. We have been in this experiment just as long as they have been in this experiment. They are just choosing to participate now off the actual physical plane in their higher dimensional consciousness. All I can say right now, I wish you could feel what I feel. They can't get any closer to my form. Like, please tell them we're standing right here. Please tell them we're standing right here. Please tell them we're standing right here. Just keep telling them, keep telling them, keep telling them. It's not about raising your frequency to feel them. It's not about activating certain energy centers in order to experience them and tap into them. You, as a human, right now, have access to them. All you have to do is stop, quiet yourself, and use your intention to call them in. Intuitively feel into how you like to do it. You, the being of light that's in your physical form, how do you like to communicate with them? Do you like to do it when you're sitting on the couch, in the bed, outside, in the shower? What's your specific technique? Because you have one. Because you've done this before, and if you haven't, you chose how you were going to. Your own special, unique way. Stop following anybody else's. Do your way that you intuitively know. You know these beings in the deepest part of your beingness. Nobody is going to tell you what you yourself can feel. And this now moment that we are moving through, this current energy surge that we are experiencing, they are pounding on the door, so to speak. And the dimensional fields are starting to literally compress so that we are standing in one and all three. Right? So we may be in a third dimensional body, pulling in the fourth dimensional field and tapping into the fifth dimensional field, but we're swirling around all three dimensional fields in our now. We may be anchored in and standing in a fourth dimensional field, and yet still swirling in the third dimensional field, tapping into the fourth dimensional field, and there's this like magical swirl experience that's happening. That's the quantum space. That's the quantum field. There's this merging of all dimensions into one now moment, where in your one now moment as you stand, you are being in all of the different dimensional fields that your physical body can allow you to tap into. You see, in the quantum, there's an infinite amount of dimensional fields. You can only tap into that which your body is capable of holding, the frequency. So if your frequency isn't holding a 10th dimensional frequency, you're not going to tap into that. Now with the etheric body, which is your light being, the being that came in to the physical form, that's your light body, that's your light being. That is in the etheric body, and that can travel into any dimension that it wants, because it understands intention and energy and how to manipulate and work in the quantum space. Your ego and personality doesn't, and that's what's in this physical form playing in this realm, the ego personality, right? So when you learn to bilocate or astral travel, and astral traveling isn't just in the dream state, okay? When you learn to do those, you are consciously moving the etheric body out and traveling around in the quantum space conscious while your physical form sits. And then you can go all over the place. But in terms of the physical form is only going to take you where it is holding its frequency. So it's not going to tap you into a 10th dimensional field unless you're starting to hold that frequency, which most of us aren't. But we are holding 3rd, 4th, 5th, and some of us 6th. So these are the dimensional fields that we're starting to physically anchor and tap into and swirl all together into one You're condensing it down into one experience, into one now. So in one now moment, you're tapping into all. You're experiencing all of them in the now. Third, fourth, and fifth in the now. And nothing is changing externally in terms of what you are seeing. You're still seeing the same ocean, the same mountain, right? And these beings that are all around you are starting to come in closer. It's almost like you're starting to feel more, see more, hear more, because the dimensional fields are merging into your now. There's not a distinct and separate dimensional field that you're pushing up against, like a wall. The walls are crumbling now, and there's this merging that's occurring in the quantum and in your now. And now it's time to remember and remember and remember and practice. Communicating in the quantum field, communicating as a multidimensional being, which means that you are not using your third dimensional senses. You start to use your multidimensional senses. Clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizance. And there's more. But they're saying right now that you have to start there, and then you'll start to merge the multidimensional senses with the third dimensional senses, merge them together, and start to experience them in a very real way. You don't need to know names, they're saying. Don't worry about where you came from, what star system you're from, what are the names, how do I call them in? You're getting stuck in ego and control when you move into that direction. When you let go of anything other than they are with me. My galactic team, my star team, my family of light, my star family, whatever you want to call them, they are with me. Period. And that's all I need to know. And then you start to call them in over and over and over in any now. Walking to the grocery store, I'm calling in my galactic team. And then it's your job to energetically stay in your body and see, do I feel anything? Do I hear anything? Because they cannot be any louder right now. I'm telling you right now, this is the loudest they have ever been on the earth plane since 5,000 years ago when they dropped in. They are loud. So your job as a third dimensional physicality, even though you're a higher consciousness, is you've got to stay in the body and feel. You've got to remember how you work multidimensionally, which is it's all energy. It's all energy. So forget the pictures that you see on Google when you Google Assyrian, because that's not what you're going to see when you start connecting to Assyrian. Okay, so if you have this idea and this notion as you do research around all these beings, that this is what they look like and this is what they look like and you start walking around in your every now and you're calling them in, you're going to have this construct, this linear construct that this is what they look like and this is what I should be feeling or seeing. And many of them don't look like that. They're beings of light, literally light. And that actually may be what you're feeling, but because you Google searched or you heard somebody tell you this is what they look like, you don't trust what you're actually feeling in your now, right? We have got to get back to the basics, which is, what do I feel? What's my sovereign space showing me right now? Not what I've heard, not what I've listened to, not what someone's told me, not somebody else's experience. They are right there with you right now. Right now, in this now, they're right here. They're behind you. They're in front of you. Welcome to beginning to communicate and work multidimensionally. There are many ways these beings will feel. And there's many ways that they will communicate energetically. Remember, this is energy. So then you say to yourself, well, how does energy talk? It doesn't, right? There's no words. Pleiadians don't speak. They don't have language like this. They might have light language, right? But that's not letters. So how do they communicate? Energetically. It's all energy. So how do I, as a human, listen to energy? I get into my body and I feel the energy. I feel the pulse. I feel the frequency of their energy coming in. The second I say to myself, I'm inviting the galactics into my space. I'm inviting my star team into my space. I'm inviting my star family into my space. And then I say to myself, okay, because I just did that, they absolutely, unequivocally are here. I have to believe that. If you don't believe that, just start doing something else. Your thought and belief as a human form is more potent and powerful than anything as you start working in the multidimensional realms. Because as you start working in the multidimensional realms, you aren't going to physically see much in the beginning. If you don't believe before you see, just stop. If you're trying to see before you believe, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. You've got to throw out seeing. Proof. Give me proof. Give me proof. Give me proof. The human wants proof. And that's what stops most humans from really starting to engage and trust what they're hearing. Because almost all of you feel these beings. Almost all of you hear these beings. You just don't trust it or believe it because you can't prove it. And you don't know how to make sure that's them. So first and foremost, when you call them in, it is your choice and it is up to you to decide, I'm going to believe they're here now. And I'm going to believe they're here when I can't see them, and that's just how the game's going to go for a while. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to breathe in my body and I'm going to remember their energy, their consciousness. Can I feel any sort of energy around me if I just stop and breathe? Maybe, maybe not. Can I have absolutely no attachment and no judgment to any of it? If you start judging yourself as you begin to open up multidimensionally, you're going to have a lot of suffering and you're going to get really upset with yourself, and it's not worth it. You have an ego. You have a personality. You are still in a third dimensional consciousness, right? You're clearing third dimensional consciousness out of you. You're stepping into the quantum field. You're stepping out of the restricted, rigid ways of being in the third dimension, but you're still in it. Judgment is in it. Attachment is in it. Suffering is in it, right? And so when you start tapping into and playing in this realm with these beings, they need you and you need you to let go of attachment and judgment. Just let it be however it is every single now moment that you continue and start connecting with them. It's the only way it happens, is you just keep going. Right? Some days you're going to really be like, oh my God, I think I heard them. I think I heard them. And some days you're going to be like, I don't think they're in my room. They are always with you. 1000% beyond a shadow of a doubt, no matter what, just like the freaking ocean is on the West Coast and the East Coast, right? It's an absolute fact. Sorry, that's for the United States. But when the sun's out, the sky's blue, right? For most of us. It's a fact. It's a fact that these beings are around you right now. So then it becomes beginning to invite them in, and it becomes beginning to move into your body, and it begins to be about the energy. Connecting, speaking, talking to them out loud. See, we have third dimensional ways of communicating. They have energetic ways of communicating. We are energetic beings, and so we get to play with both, right? Speaking out loud to them, and then telepathically receiving the energy from them. And it's not complicated, so you don't want to think about it. You don't want to say, oh, okay, so now they're communicating telepathically, so that must mean that there's energy coming in, so now I've got to feel the energy coming in, and I've got to feel it moving through my channel, and then I've got to feel it, how it feels in my... If you start doing that, you're so focused on how it's working that you're not actually going to feel it. Because you're so focused on what's going on, like you're dissecting it so like intricately, like you're not letting go and just allowing yourself to feel. So you want to relax and just let yourself feel. You don't want to try to control this or figure it out or make it happen, right? Just imagine that you're on a raft and you're floating down a river. And you invite them in, and then you start saying, hello, I know you guys are here. I just can't feel you or hear you. I'm just going to keep doing my thing. What's going on? Whatever you want to say. Do the exercise of laying on the floor, especially right when you wake up in the morning. Go lay in the middle of your room. This is an exercise that everybody should practice if they resonate with it. Anytime during the day, but in the morning is a really good time. But anytime. You lay in the middle of your floor, and there's nothing in the front, nothing by your head, nothing by your feet, okay? There's space around you. And you're lying on your back, eyes are closed, palms are up, and your arms are a little bit away from your body. Eyes closed, you start to breathe into your body, and you start to feel your breath. You feel your body, you feel the weight of your body, and you're weighted down into the ground. You can feel the heaviness. And then you invite in the galactic guides. I'm inviting in my galactic guides. I'm inviting in my star family. I'm inviting in my family of light. It doesn't matter what words you use, because as an energetic being, they know exactly what you are energetically pulsing out and inviting in. You could say, I'm inviting in the elephants, but if your intention is to invite these beings in, that's the energetic frequency and pulse that you're putting out. They're going to come in regardless of what words you say. I mean, if your intention is, I'm going to invite in the galactic beings, then all of a sudden you say, I'm inviting in the elephants. They don't care what word you use. The elephants aren't coming in because your intention is to invite them in. You understand? So forget about, oh my God, what should I say? What words should I use? Is it okay if I use these words? Stop. Who doesn't matter? What is your energetic intention? Pull them in, visualize them around your body in a circle, and start to ask them to work with your body, activate your body, increase the frequency of your body, open up certain energy centers, maybe just warm your body up with really nice white light, maybe put light around your head, rub your feet, give you a massage. I don't know, whatever you want, but you ask them and you direct them and you tell them, and you do this every day. And you'll get real close with these beings. Sometimes when we try too hard to communicate with them, again, we're trying so hard to do something that it almost blocks the process. Typically, when I started communicating with these beings, I never tried to. I just opened myself up to knowing that they were around, and that at any now moment I may hear them, or I may feel them, or I may experience them. So I had to stay open in every now. The way I stayed open is I constantly held the intention that my 7th energy center was open, that I was safe to have my 7th energy center open now, and that I was walking around in every now as an open container ready to receive from these beautiful beings. And I did that every day. And I would hear them very randomly throughout my days, random times. In the beginning, when I would sit and try to connect, it would be a little bit more challenging because I was trying to connect with them. And so my focus was on it, right? I was focusing on bringing them in. I was focused on connecting with them. And then I would get frustrated or annoyed. The ego comes in. The ego's like, ooh, what are we doing here? Ooh, we're doing this? Okay, great. Let's see how good we can be at this. Oh my God, I love this, right? And then nothing happens and you're like, you're so stupid. You can't do this. Why are you even trying? So the more we can let the ego kind of chill out, like it's not involved in the multidimensional realms, it's not involved in connecting with these beings, and it definitely won't help you. The ego will not show you the way, okay? The ego is going to beat you up along the way. So we want to relax the ego. And one of the ways you relax the ego is you get focused on, am I trying to control? Am I trying to force? Am I trying to make something happen? Or am I just relaxing? So as you're laying there on the floor, you're just relaxing. You're just receiving. Maybe you feel something. Maybe you don't. You don't care. In the multidimensional realms, you can't see anything. You may not feel anything in the beginning. You do it anyways. You have to just keep doing it, you guys. That's it. That's it. You got to just keep going. You can't quit. Stay open throughout your day. If you buy into the paradigm that if I open up my crown, dark energies or dark entities or dark beings are going to come in, well, then go ahead and play in that paradigm. It's totally your choice. Or you could actually choose another paradigm, which is available, which is that when I open my crown, I'm completely safe, completely aligned. Only the beautiful and most bright, amazing, awesome beings of light are going to move in and connect with me because I'm in charge of my sovereign field. I'm in charge of my sovereign field. I'm actually in charge of who comes into my space. I'm actually in charge of what beings come in and communicate with me. When we are unconscious or when we are not in our bodies is when we don't feel the entities entering. And all of a sudden we're like, holy shit, where'd that come from? Well, were you in your body? Were you feeling your energy? Were you feeling you? Because if you were, you would have felt something coming close and you would have said, because you're a sovereign co-creator in your experience, exit please, you're not allowed in. We have free will and we're sovereign. Those are the two most important aspects of splitting from consciousness, splitting from source. The two things that happen the second consciousness splits from source is free will and sovereignty, which means nobody can infiltrate or impact your field, your energetic field, and you're sovereign, which means that you are in charge of your energetic field. You're the one that runs the ship. You're in charge. Those are two absolute, unequivocal truths that occur the second consciousness splits from source. And all consciousness understands that. Now, when you move into a very dense frequency like the third dimension, guess what happens? You're now in a physical form. You're now inundated with very dense, very dualistic consciousnesses that is run by fear and control and keep yourself safe. And you forget that you're sovereign. You forget that you're in charge. You forget that you're not a victim. You forget that you have free will. You forget all of that. And so as you're waking up out of your slumber, pay attention to the paradigms that you are still believing in that are telling you that you have to protect yourself. I don't need to protect myself if I know that I'm sovereign and I have free will. There's no protection needed. Pay attention to the paradigms that tell you that if you open, that these beings or entities or something is going to come into your field. But I thought I had free will and I was a sovereign being, because that's what happens when you split from source. Oh yeah, I remember that. So if I'm free will and I'm a sovereign being, then I get to actually say, no, thank you. I'm going to say, thank you, but none. No, thank you. And the way you know that something may be coming around you is that you feel your energetic field, which is your sovereign space, which is going to detect and say, uh-oh, something funky's coming around. And you're going to say, oh, I'm a free-willed sovereign being. I'm going to stop you. You cannot come into my field. Thank you. Go away. All beings honor free will and sovereignty. If you, as a human, don't step up to the bat and say, I'm sovereign and I have free will, then these beings are just going to say, oh, let's play. Let's have some fun in this, right? And they're going to come in and they're going to play around with you. We experience it as not so fun, but they're just playing with you, right? You forgot. So you've got to get in your body. You've got to get in the body. You've got to feel everything all the time. That's being multidimensional. Being multidimensional is I can open up my seventh energy center, which all multidimensional beings do in the physicality, and I'm safe, and I'm free, and I'm available, and I'm receptive, and I'm sovereign, and I get to say yes or no because I'm feeling everything. I'm feeling everything energetically. And so I will know when something comes in, right? And you practice this. You have to practice all the time, getting into your body and feeling. Not feeling emotion. That we do quite easily now, right? I'm talking about feeling your energetic field. Can I feel beings around me right now? Maybe, maybe not, but you're practicing. There's energetic beings around me. I'm in my body. My energetic field is out here. Can I feel anything around me right now? Close my eyes. Let me see if I can feel anything around me right now. I can feel a lot of things around me, right? You're learning how to do this. You're learning how to feel energy. You forgot. And by the way, you're in a very dense physical form. And by the way, the paradigms that protect us and that have us shut off are beautiful because we have needed that for hundreds and thousands of years on the earth plane. We have needed to shut down because there were times thousands of years ago where beings literally were not obeying the rule of free will and sovereignty, and they were literally infiltrating the human form. So those of you that had experience with that are not necessarily safe thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to open up. Bullshit. I know what happened last time I did that 3,000 years ago. There was massive amounts of infiltration from fourth dimensional beings for thousands of years on the earth plane. They are not doing it anymore. They are not in the fifth dimensional grid system with us right now. They're in the 12th dimensional grid system. They are in the quantum field, so we have access to them if we want, but they are not in our grid infiltrating us the way they used to. That's why that sort of stuff isn't happening like it used to. So the point being, massive tangent, the point being is that we've got to stay open and receptive to start to feel and hear and receive in this multidimensional realm. When you're walking down the street, I am open, I'm receptive, I'm receiving, let's go. Who's around me? Let's do this, right? Don't worry about names right away, because they're always giving you something to hold on to, whether it's a name or a color or a vision or whatever it is. But more than anything, you just want to feel. You just want to feel as much as you can. So right now, we are all stepping into and merging into a multidimensional human. We are literally standing where there is this vanilla chocolate strawberry swirl. I was talking to this amazing being, Lucky. His name is Lucky, on Instagram Live last week, and I was talking to him about this swirl. I think it was Lucky. And there's this like the chocolate, the vanilla, and the strawberry. And I was actually talking about it as density and light, but it's the same thing. It's these different dimensional fields. We're starting to merge so that it's like one swirl, right? So we're standing in a now moment, and we are literally being in all three dimensional fields in the one now moment now. And so there's not as much of this up and down, massive, right? Now, we're all in different stages along this ascension process. So there can be many hundreds of thousands of humans that are doing this. But what is available now with the current energies is this swirl-like experience, right? So instead of this massive up and down of emotion, expansion and contraction, which happens in the beginning of the awakening process, now it's more of like, I'm just sort of moving through this, like just going through the motions, and there's this movement that's happening, and no matter what I'm experiencing, I still feel myself in multiple dimensions. Do you understand? So even if I'm feeling sadness or overwhelm, I'm also at the exact same time feeling myself in the higher realms. I'm all of it at once. Instead of this separation of I'm way up here, I'm way down here. I'm way up here, I'm way down here. What is starting to occur is I am feeling it, I am feeling it, I am feeling it multidimensionally, which means I feel it, whatever it is. I'm not attaching to it. I'm not judging it because I'm being multidimensional. And I am feeling whatever it is as it's coming up while I'm in all three dimensional fields swirled together. So as I'm feeling sadness, I'm also love and joy and peace. I may not be feeling it in that moment, but I know that that's who I am as well. That's being multidimensional, as opposed to I'm feeling all this love and peace and joy, and this is who I am, and oh my God, I've got to stay up here. And then you get catapulted down to fear, anger, sadness. Oh my God, I'm fear and anger and sadness, and I hate this. I don't want to be this person, right? You're neither. You're experiencing consciousness. And when you start to increase your frequency, these dimensional fields start to merge together. Third dimension, fifth dimension, fourth dimension. They all start to merge together. And you're standing in all three, recognizing, holy shit, I wasn't any of that. I was experiencing all of that. I was experiencing the highs. I was experiencing the lows. I was experiencing the middle ground. And now they're merging together. And I'm standing, experiencing the high frequencies, experiencing the low frequencies just as consciousness in a now moment, capable of experiencing anything and everything in that now through the multidimensional human that I am in all three-dimensional fields in every now. There's no judgment. There's no attachment. There's no massive ups and massive downs, right? It's this merging. It's a merging. Practice getting even more conscious when you're in your nows of, okay, right now I may be feeling sadness. I'm experiencing the sadness, but I also know that I'm multidimensional, so I have access to the other dimensional experiences and consciousnesses, but I'm allowing myself to feel the sadness. I'm not the sadness, but I'm standing in my multidimensional body in a multidimensional realm in the quantum space, and this is my now moment with no attachment. And for all I know, 30 minutes from now, 15 minutes from now, 5 minutes from now, I'm going to be feeling something completely different because I am literally floating between three-dimensional fields all at the same time. What happens as this merging starts to occur is that the physical body continues to move into the higher frequencies. It continues to anchor down into the next dimensional field while the swirling of the three dimensions is still happening. And as you get higher and higher in frequency, the lower consciousnesses are not experienced as much. It's almost like you ate all the vanilla in the swirl, which is the third dimension, let's say, right? And there's not as much vanilla left, but it's still part of the swirl. It's still in the bowl. It's just that there's a hell of a lot more strawberry and chocolate that you're experiencing. But you can still see in the bowl, there's vanilla. You're just not playing in it or experiencing it as intensely. Make sense? This is multidimensionality, this is the quantum field, and this is the collapsing of dimensional fields into one now. The collapsing of dimensional fields into one now. So if you're still feeling this massive kind of really high, really low, awesome, keep going, it gets better, okay? We've all been there. Maybe we're going through it right now, right? It's like these massive expansions and these massive contractions. Really high, really low. You feel bipolar, you feel crazy, right? That is part of the natural process of ascending into higher states of consciousness. You're doing nothing wrong. Keep going, observe, and detach from it. Feel it, Observe it, detach. I am not what I'm experiencing. I am experiencing blank. I'm experiencing blank. I am not sadness, fear, depression. I am experiencing sadness, fear, depression, right? I'm experiencing these things. Wow, this is the expansion and contraction stage. Eventually, these stages are going to bring as my body increases its frequency, it's going to bring my now moment merged with these other three-dimensional fields that all three-dimensional fields hold consciousness that you are accessing in your body. So you're accessing 5D, you're accessing 4D, you're in 3D. So you're accessing all of this consciousness. And as you continue to allow your body to increase, this massive expansion contraction that you're feeling is going to get closer and closer and closer. As you start increasing that frequency of your form, it gets closer and closer, and then boom, they collapse together into one now moment. So here you are standing in your now, experiencing the fifth dimensional field, the fourth dimensional field, the third dimensional field, merge together in one now moment. And whatever you feel is whatever you feel. That is it. There is no attachment. There's no judgment. There's no suffering. Because all you're doing is you're being a multidimensional human in a quantum field now, experiencing whatever comes up into your now. And that's it. And so you're almost like encased in these three-dimensional fields, and you're starting to continue in this little bubble of the quantum as multidimensional. You're starting to shift and shift. The three fields don't go anywhere, right? Meaning that you're always going to see a third dimensional field for quite some time as you continue to shift. The third dimensional earth doesn't go anywhere. Third dimensional humans don't go anywhere. Third dimensional consciousness doesn't go anywhere. Third dimensional paradigms don't go anywhere. Just because you start shifting into these higher states and anchoring into a fourth dimensional field and continuing to increase frequency and consciousness doesn't mean that you are no longer going to see the 3D field, because guess what? That's not how the quantum field works. It's all in there. You don't escape anything. There's no escaping out of a dimensional field that you've already been in and that's lower in vibration than you. You're always going to be seeing it, feeling it, and tapping into it. Now what's going to start to happen is you're not going to be playing in it in the same way, which is why it is imperative that we clear out the density. Clear out the third dimensional consciousness that we have consumed throughout our life, so that the body can be free of that consciousness, even though you're still going to be standing in or experiencing, seeing a third dimensional field. The third dimensional consciousness will not be in your physicality anymore. So you won't be experiencing it. That's why we are so courageously continuing to purge and clear that density, which, by the way, takes a very long time. Right? It's not like overnight, boom, you're cleared of this density and off you go. That's why it's all about practicing that compassion, that self-love for yourself, the love for your human journey. There is nothing wrong with the fact that you chose to drop into a physical form that is in a third dimensional consciousness. So what did you think was going to happen? You had to digest the third dimensional consciousness. You had to have all of those experiences, whatever they were. And any experience you have in a third dimensional field is going to be digested into your physical form. That's how energy works. That's how you navigate energy. That's how you understand energy, right? You have an experience and you say, what was that energy? The energy moves into your channel and the channel tells you, oh, that was a fight you just had and this is how it feels. And these are the thoughts you think about it based on that experience externally. And so the consciousness comes in and you either feel it completely through or you say, hell no, I'm not doing that. That doesn't feel good. You're going to stay in my body. Not your fault. It's called being a human. Period. It's called being a human form, being in a human form, not being human, being in a human form, experiencing third dimensional consciousness. So we have got to stop beating ourselves up over what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, what we've done in the past, what we've experienced in the past, what we've done to others, what others have done to us. From a much higher perspective, it's all perfect, it's all divine, and it's no one's fault. From a much higher perspective, no one is at fault because there's no fault in this. This is an experiment. This is an experience. This is a dense field. And you, as the higher dimensional consciousness, chose to move into this physicality to experience all of this for a gamut of reasons. And now there is a current energy on the earth plane where all three-dimensional fields have now been collapsed for the human. And many humans are now holding a frequency where they are standing in a multidimensional body, which means that they are accessing multidimensional aspects of them: alignment, connection to higher self, accessing the third eye, opening up the heart center, the fourth energy center, and starting to feel massive amounts of compassion and love for yourself, no longer judging yourself, holding yourself in non-attachment, starting to become the observer over and over and over again, recognizing that you are not that which you are feeling, being, experiencing, hearing, all of that, right? These are all things that start to happen as you start to turn on and become multidimensional, starting to play with the beings that are around you. Non-attachment to all of it. All right. And then you're starting to notice, oh my God, I'm in all these different dimensional fields, it feels like. Yes, you are. They're collapsing. So in one now moment, you're feeling them all. And that's what's happening. So you may be even looking out and being like, what am I seeing? What am I experiencing? Like, why do I feel like one day, one moment, I'm driving down the street and I'm feeling one thing, and then I'll turn the corner and I'm feeling something completely different? Because you're literally experiencing the quantum field. You're experiencing three unique, powerful, and potent dimensions all at the same time. It's like this bizarre grid system I want you to imagine it like three grids that are like this at all times. I only have two hands, okay? Imagine a third hand, three hands. This is what's happening in every now, right? There's just these three dimensions that you're coming in and out of in every now. Maybe you actually see them as grids, right? But that is exactly what is occurring now. So, back to the original first message, which is why they forced me in here. The beings, the galactics, the star beings, whatever you want to name them. They are here to assist us. We will eventually, in another now, literally be talking to them, walking with them, communicating with them all the time, every single day. Any question you have, you'll be turning to them. Any issue that you have, you'll be turning to them. Any ailment that you have, you'll be turning to them. Any activation you need, you'll be turning to them. Anything, you will be turning to them and yourself, right? And you, right? But you'll be accessing them, which is why they're here. There's many reasons why they're here. But the beings that I'm connecting with and the ones that are urging me to communicate with you guys right now are the ones that are waking you up. They're the ones that you have been walking with since the moment you dropped into physical form. It's the beings that you said, bye, I'm going in, right before you jumped into the body. They were standing right next to you energetically. Wishing you well. Good luck. Have fun. We'll be right here. Right? That's them. We're right here. We're ready. Let's go. You're ready. So don't beat yourself up. I can't hear him. Yes, you can. Just settle. It's energy. You may not hear anything for a while. And when you do hear, it may sound like your own voice. It's going to sound like your own voice, perhaps, like you talking to you. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like I'm literally talking to myself many times. Let your experience be your experience. Don't judge it based on what anybody else has ever said to you about any communication they have ever had with these beings. Because all that's going to do is make you judge your experience. So trust you. Trust what you feel. Trust who you are. You're the creator of your now, of your entire journey. You know better than anybody who you were with right before you jumped in. You know that. Nobody else on this planet knows that. But you, because you were the one that was there before you jumped into your physical form. And they want to remind you of that. Throw out how any other human does it, including myself. May this only be a reminder to get going in whatever way that feels most resonant for you. Open up. Bring them in. Ask them, tell them, direct them, guide them. They are so ready, and so are you. You are. And many of you already are. Right? Pay attention to your attachments, like your judgments and attachments to this whole process. Oh, look, I'm attaching to something. I want to feel something. It has to look like this. It has to feel like this. This person says this is what their experience was like, so that must be what mine needs to be like. We all get to have our own unique, amazing, fabulous experiences. Thank God. I just was asking them if I did a good job. You did a good job, they said. They were like, we wish that we could just jump in and, I don't trance channel, but they've tried a couple times to come into my body. I don't know if I'm resistant to it or what it is. They're just saying that it's not time or it's not ready. But anyway, they really wish that they could just jump in and speak for them, like throw me out the window, kind of. Well, not out the window, not throw me out the window. That's ridiculous. Throw me out the window. That is so harsh. Sad. No, just like put me aside, like put Lori aside. I know there's a lot of people that can channel that way, but maybe one day they will come in like that, in a deep channeled state. It doesn't matter though, they're just so close. And for me, I'll just give you an example of like, well, what does it feel like right now for you, right? So if you notice how I'm kind of looking out the window, right? The reason I look out like that is because it moves. I'm not focused on anything. I'm not looking at anything. It brings me into this gaze and this very soft stare, this soft glance, right? So you're sort of, what you're doing is you're looking, but you're also you're noticing the peripheral. So I'm looking somewhere, but I'm also not looking at it, and I'm feeling into, and I can see kind of them. I can feel them more. You know those pictures back in the 90s, early 90s, where it was all these dots, and you had to literally look through the dots in order to see the actual picture? If you're probably anywhere, if you're younger than 30, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But there are these photos or pictures where it's all dots when you first look at it. And then you have to have a soft gaze, and you have to practice that soft gaze. And as you have a soft gaze, you end up, oh my God, you can see the whole photo, right? The whole picture. That's what it's like when you start tapping into these beings. It's like you're not trying to pinpoint and see them. You're not trying to laser beam focus your attention on it. You're holding a very soft focus, and you're dropping into the body, relaxing completely with absolutely no expectation. You're floating. Imagine I'm floating in a river, right? I'm floating in a river. And then you just start to allow your tentacles to go out and tap into the other dimensional realms that are in this space with me. You start to move into like this kind of meditative state almost, and then you can start to feel. I can feel them right there, standing. It's almost as if they're physically standing there. That's how it feels. And they're like, well, we are physically standing. To them, they're physically standing. To me, it's not physical standing. And they're like, oh, we can bring ourselves closer to you, right? Okay, bring yourselves closer, right? So then they're coming a little bit closer, a little bit closer, and a little bit closer. And then I settle into that for a moment and I feel. A lot of times if you put your hand out, you can start to feel energy. It'll start to warm up or get, tingling, right? That's another way of feeling them. So we don't want to focus so hard that we are forcing it or pushing, right? Okay, it's been an hour. I'm going to go. This is a fabulously long video. It is what it is. I hope you enjoyed it. And here we are. Here we go. We're just continuing to shift, right? And wherever you are is totally perfect. So whenever I do current energies, it's just the current now for some humans and not the current now for every human, right? It depends on where you are in your human journey. But I can say that this is, if you aren't feeling this yet, this is where what you're going to be feeling and what you're coming to, right? So wherever you're at, whatever you're experiencing, whatever path or stage that you're on in this ascension journey, this ability that of merging and integrating and being multidimensional and standing in everything and not having that up and down anymore, I'm telling you right now, that's coming because I'm going through it. Right? Oh, this is where we are now. Oh, this is what the human's capable of now. Oh, okay, that's fabulous. Awesome, right? So you don't want to beat yourself like, fudge, why am I not feeling that stage yet? Or why am I not there yet? This isn't about better than, worse than, right, wrong, higher than, lower than. This is about the journey of ascension, period. And the different stages that we have to go through as we shift consciously, physically, consciousness in physical form. So we're consciously shifting the consciousness, the energy, the light in the physical form into these higher frequencies. Everything is shifting in the physicality. And then everything shifts externally. Right? So don't beat yourself up. Like, God, I'm still in that expansion contraction. Is there something wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. Welcome to Ascension. God, I'm really in the lower states. The chocolate ice cream. I'm really in that it's been like weeks. Is there something wrong with me? Nothing wrong with you. It's called ascension. I really want to be in the higher states again. That's fine. You're not there yet. It's called ascension. You'll be there when you're there. I just want to be able to be in that state where Lori's talking about. Well, don't worry, you'll be there. You're just not there yet. Stay present with where you're at. Practice what you are being asked to practice, which is what is in your now. What's in your now? Practice that. What is coming up for you to practice right now? Listening to higher self, having no judgment around things, having compassion, being the observer, feeling everything without judgment, courageously feeling things, moving through massive trauma and having compassion for yourself as you move through the trauma. These are all parts of the ascension. It's all parts of being human as well. So we don't beat ourselves up wherever we are. This is not a race, and it has nothing to do with, I better increase my frequency. I better increase my frequency. You're not in charge. Your body is. And your body will tell you where you are and where you're going. Not you, meaning the ego. Right? Suffering occurs when we try to bring ourselves into a higher frequency all the time. The body's going to bring you right back to where it's at. Let the body do the work. The reason we don't like that is because then we have to surrender to whatever is coming up in our now. And we don't like to surrender to now moments that don't feel good. We like to control our now moments by bringing them into something that feels good. Because why not? Well, from a higher perspective, there's a reason that in your now, things are coming up to be felt and experienced. It's not just for nothing. I'm talking about internally, right? I'm not talking about external experiences that you may have a trigger with or get upset about, or all of a sudden you're going to get angry and yell at somebody or whatever you're having externally, right? I'm talking about the internal experiences of the emotions, thoughts, beliefs, the behaviors, all these things that are happening based on an internal shift in consciousness, right? Those now moments that we're feeling are for a reason. And the more courageous human is the human that says, I'm going to surrender to this, love myself through it, have compassion, not judge myself as being a bad person or a lower frequency person or any of that. But what I'm going to do is say, I'm an awesome, courageous, ascending light being in human form. And in my now, apparently anger wants to move through my body. So I am going to honor that now moment along my ascension journey, because I know that I am also so many other experiences. I will be feeling so many other experiences. I will be feeling so many other consciousnesses in another now. I am not stuck feeling this now, whatever the now is that you're feeling. You're not stuck in it. Especially if you start to step out of it and recognize that you are literally just experiencing it. That's it. You will find so much freedom in observing what you are experiencing and no longer labeling yourself anything other than a courageous, badass being of light in human form, navigating a holy hell shift in consciousness while you are in a physical form. That's what's going on. That's who you are. You're not anything other than that. You're an amazing being that is like, holy shit, what am I doing? How am I navigating this? And you honor and you love every now that is coming up. You remember that you are on the ascension train. You aren't off it. And it's not about how quickly you raise your frequency or how much you can hold a high frequency. That is not what this is about. This is about the natural progression of how energy moves from one frequency to another and to another and to another without you, the ego, trying to tell the energy how it works. You don't know. That's your ego trying to tell your physical form what this is all about. And your ego, it's not your ego's job. Your ego doesn't have any idea. It's the physical body's job to do this. It's the light being inside you that knows what's going on. It's your higher self that knows what's happening. And your higher self would never say to you, hey, this isn't a good emotion or a good vibration that you're in. You really need to be shifting yourself out of it. The higher self would never, ever say that. The higher self would say, do you love yourself? In this now, can you love yourself as you're feeling that emotion? Can you love yourself when you're having that thought right now? Can you love yourself when you're doing that behavior you don't like that's moving out of you, which is why it's coming up? Can you love yourself right now in it? That's what the higher self would say. Can you love yourself while you are experiencing it? That's all you need to do, sweetheart. Because if you can do that, you will naturally continue to move. If you get stuck and try to say, no, thank you. I don't like that part of the ascension train. I'd like to just move myself out of that and shift into these higher frequencies because I was told that that's where it's all at. You're not in control. And then what does that do? It creates a judgment around that, which is going to continue to come up until you love it free. Right? It's going to create judgments around that which you've been trying to step out of. This is not about holding higher frequencies. Your body's already doing that. It's about getting present, staying present, surrendering to every present moment, experiencing everything that comes up with love and compassion, and courageously continuing one foot in front of the other. That's what it's about. You are not controlling it, you being the ego. And the more you align with your higher self, guess what your higher self is saying? Get present. Get in the now. Surrender. Let go. Be. Feel. Allow. trust. All those annoying words that we don't like, that are very annoying when you start doing them. It's like, are you serious? You're going to tell me to surrender another freaking time? Trust? Seriously? Trust. Trust. Like, what the freak am I trusting? Trust? I gotta trust. What am I even trusting? How could I trust when I don't even know what I'm trusting? Surrender. It's like all these things that your being higher self is asking you to do are things that we are not used to doing as an egoic personality structure. But that's the higher self. Higher self's going to say, hey, do you feel this version of you that you're stepping into? Yeah, I really want to get there. Trust. Surrender. Be present. Like, fuck, I just want to get there. Trust. Surrender. Be present. Feel. Experience your energetic field. Trust your knowingness, right? All those things, that's what the higher self is going to direct you back to. Higher self isn't going to say, hey, you need to shift your frequency really fast right now. Continue to. Every day, work hard at shifting your frequency. That's getting you out of the now. Shifting a frequency is getting you out of the now. Moving out of what you are experiencing in the now is getting you out of a now. It's about being in the flow of the river, which is life. It's being in the flow, which means anything that comes in, I feel, experience, love, accept, and continue. That's it. I don't move or shift out of any of it. I just allow it. That's surrender. That's flow. That's present moment. That's being in a higher dimensional field. You don't care what comes in. That is merging in all three dimensions at one time without control. That's the collapsing of all three dimensional fields into your one now without control. You are floating along the river, and whatever comes in, you allow. You're not trying to control the raft. You're not trying to make sure that you get onto a faster stream or away from any of the rocks. You know you're safe. You know that you're floating down the river. You know that you're ascending no matter what. You don't need to do anything but allow your higher self to show you the way, which is get present, feel, surrender, trust, stay open, have compassion, and boom, you continue to move into these higher aspects of you, the next highest version of you that you can feel, that you can see, that you know is there, and yet you stay present. Okay. There you go. I love you guys. I hope this was useful. It's really potent energy this month. It's very, very tangible energy. It's very, like you can drink it, right? Like it's getting very real this month in a way that it's becoming physical. Like it's just getting real. It's the only way, that's the only word I can use. It's getting magical, it's getting freaky, it's getting like, holy shit. When we start becoming multidimensional in our physical reality, it just makes you smile because it's like, oh my God, it's really happening. It's all really happening for us. So just know that whatever you're experiencing is okay. And give yourself a hug. Remember that you're a rock star. Remember you're a being of light in physical form. And we're all doing the best we can. It's not always easy to hold that, but we really are. Every human is doing the best they can with what they have. Start practicing and continuing to practice and be with these beings. So that exercise, one more thing, that exercise of laying on the ground is one really beautiful and so simple exercise, right? And the other exercise that you can do at all times, at any now, is just opening up the crown by saying, I'm opening up my crown chakra and I'm inviting in the beings of light. I'm inviting in my star family. I'm inviting in the galactic beings. You can invite in any beings, the angelic realm, my guides, the ascended masters, whoever you want. But in every now moment, as you're walking down the street, as you're getting your coffee, as you're sleeping, or you're going to bed, as whatever you're doing, I'm opening up my crown chakra, I'm becoming the receptor, and I'm inviting in the beings of light, and my family is with me now, or my guides are with me now, and that's it. And then you just keep doing your thing. But you stay in your body, and you stay energy. You stay energy. You stay feeling. How do I feel energetically? Practice this, you guys. Practice, how do I feel energetically? Not emotionally. How do I feel energetically as often as you can? Okay? I'll leave you with that. I love you. Mwah. I'll see you next time.